Hello and welcome to the second channel for Tales from the Trip. I'm your host Trip Keeper, and on today's video we're going to be reading a very long trip report. Actually, I don't know how really long it is. There's 5 parts to it. This person told me they were going to upload it and there was a lot of formatting problems, but we got all 5 parts. I was going to do it on my main channel, but there's a video that's going to come out tomorrow that I was actually editing today, and then I was like, today's a day of rest. I want to rest. So I edited like up to 7 minutes of it. Then I went straight to bed after I ate, and I took like a fucking 6-hour nap. Now, if you know me, I do not take naps. I do not like naps. I think naps make you feel worse than actually, like, unless you take like a 20-minute nap, which is what you're supposed to do, I guess, like to rest your mind or something. But man, when you sleep that long, you just want to stay in there. I woke up, I'm like, oh my god, bruh. But yeah, so I got to edit that tomorrow, and hopefully, tomorrow will be a lot better. I can, focus and do some things. Might be some special things on the main channel for sure. I'm not gonna say what yet, but there might be something. But yeah, so this story that we're reading today is a DXM story. I've done a lot of DXM stories, but this one, I want to read this because, like I said, I promised, and I just want to read it. I want to skim through it a little bit, but now I can actually see what happens. Yeah, like I said, there's 5 parts, 5 different pages on here. So yeah, this could be long. I don't know. I'd like to know if this is put all together on one page, what it would look like. But yeah, like every page doesn't seem so bad, but once you put it all together, it's like, okay, it's pretty long. But we'll see how long the story is. So roughly 2 minutes when I start. So let's just see. All right. DXM addiction and overdose in the mental hospital lobby. Reformatted upload part 1. So yeah, mental hospital. Oh boy, we love these mental hospital stories. I don't have a beer. Maybe I'll grab one. I'll pause it and grab one after if I feel like drinking it, but I don't know. I don't really feel like it. I do have water and an energy drink. Drinking both. I've been been pouring water in a cup and with ice, and that's honestly makes me drink a lot more water than what I was. I was already drinking quite a bit, but just having that ice in there, making it cold the whole time, that's nice. All right, let's start this. I'm going to start this by saying I am 17 now, and this is very recent in my life. It's only been 3 months since I used that horrific chemical. I'm going to go into detail about my story as a whole and try to make it as fast as possible without leaving anything out. So here it goes, my story with dextromethorphan. I had managed to stay away from all drugs until freshman year of high school. Sure, I vaped nicotine here and there, but I entered high school with no intention to try anything. I am a huge skater, and I have been skating since I was 11 and went to my local park very regularly. This park was known by the parents to be the drug park, and just known as a bad spot in a whitewashed suburban town. There's a skate park by my high school we used to go to. People were doing DMT there even. So it's crazy, but yeah, the skate parks seem to be the places that you gotta watch out. Whenever a cop would show up, we would just like run into the woods because the woods was over there. But dude, oh my god, it was crazy. There was one of my favorite places to go before school, after school, by the football field. When the football game was on, we'd go there. Like you couldn't even see anything when it was night out. Oh man, there's some good times on there. Some real good times. I would see people smoke bud, take dabs, and drink constantly. I didn't try any of it until I caved in on my curiosity and hit my friend's pipe. I won't get too much into it, but I had the magical first weed experience. I don't know if I set off my addiction genes at that instant or what, but by the next week, I was a weed fiend. I was the person who smokes anything at any time, but never has his own shit. Fast forward a month from when I tried weed, I get together with a friend and his friend, and we planned to have a sleepover. When I got there, they surprised me and said they had bought 9 tabs of acid. I immediately got that feeling that I was in too deep, but then I got butterflies of excitement. I started feeling an extreme urge to try it, and that is what I did. They were paper tabs, and I have no idea how many micrograms. I took 2 to start, and then ended taking another one later in the night. To keep the story shorter, I will tell you I had the most mind-altering, magical, and horrifying experience. At some points, I apparently locked myself in the bathroom with the lights off for hours. I remember staring into the mirror and getting sucked into the tunnel in my eyes. I was truly in a fantasy land, and everything I experienced made me want to never not feel like that again. And the cherry on top, at 9 in the morning the next day, I had to get my tooth pulled, and they put me on nitrous oxide while I was still having visuals. That was wild. Yeah, that sounds like crazy though. After this trip, my weed usage only became more and more intense, and at that time, I was not the type of person that can hide their high. I'm the type of high person that will laugh for hours at how a piece of bread looks on the floor. If I'm in any serious situation, I will start grinning like a damn idiot, and it's so obvious. Having blue eyes did not help either. They would be red as hell. I got green eyes, and a lot of people, it's a very not too many people in the population have green eyes compared to everyone else. Like, blue eyes definitely are very interesting, but I'm pretty glad to be born with green eyes, because there could be, brown and hazel seem to be the ones that are just like very popular. But yeah, green eyes is pretty cool, because in the sun, it looks nice. It looks nice, I'll tell you that. So it was quite obvious to the school I was getting fucked up, and even more obvious to my parents. So my mother gave me an ultimatum. She told me she's going to drug test me a month from now, and if I'm clean from weed, then I don't have to go to an intensive outpatient program. If I do, then I have to go. Well, I smoked just like normal and decided to call her bluff. I was put in the IOP program quite quickly. This program was Monday through Thursday every week, and we got probation level drug testing every day, so I'd usually just take 50 milligrams of melatonin before I go and not be able to hold my head up and forget the whole thing. But while I was there, I made a friend. We will call him Blake. Blake was there for oxys, I believe, and was a year younger than me. For oxys, and wait, he was on oxys and you were in freshman year of high school? So that means he was in 8th grade and on oxys. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what I'm fucking hearing? That's crazy. That is so sad. I always remember his eyes were empty tunnels all the time, and he seemed high as hell. And he always seemed high as hell, but nobody said anything of it. Well, one day, we are left alone in the room for like 5 minutes, and he leans over and says to me, "Do you want to get high as fuck and have it not show up on your drug test?" I immediately answered that question with a yes. He hands me a tall Mentos gum bottle and tells me to keep it. He says, "Only take 4 and then slowly move your way up to 7. Whatever you do not ever go past 9. Those words are burned into my brain now. I was so excited that I didn't even wait to get home and do it. I went to the bathroom and took 4 of these large pills, and it had an intensely distinct plastic chemical smell. On one side, they said 1200. On the other side, Mucinex. These were Mucinex pills that have 60 milligrams of DXM in each one. Mucinex, that shit is just wild. Mucinex was definitely the strongest DXM thing I've ever taken. Now, I've never tried Robotabs. I'm sure that's probably extreme, but Mucinex was always like my craziest DXM trip. Like, it was a lot stronger than Robitussin, and even though the guafenicin, that was in it, you have to worry about that. I keep on forgetting how to pronounce that. I think that's how you pronounce it, guafenicin, because I like to talk about it a lot, but where the hell is it? Guafenicin. I want to make sure I pronounce it right, because I don't want to go on with it. Guaifenicin? Okay, guaifenicin, close enough. Okay, so guaifenicin, yeah, there's a lot of guaifenicin in it, and yeah, that's what you gotta worry about, but yeah. Alright, let's go back. I honestly wasn't expecting to feel anything. I have zero clue you can even get high on cough medicines from the store. For me, DXM would kick in an hour from when I took it. Almost to the exact minute. I got in the car with my dad and we were getting food when I noticed I felt way more stimulated. Lights looked much brighter and more odd, but I didn't feel high yet. My vision was just changing. By the time I was home, I was definitely feeling something. I had a sunset light and a speaker. I instinctively grabbed them and locked myself in the bathroom. I've never taken a shower in the dark before, but I did. I turned on the sunset lamp and turned off all the lights and started playing my SoundCloud on my speaker. Dude, I always take showers in the dark. It's very peaceful, especially in the morning, but now it's starting to get very light in the morning again, so it's not working the same. But in the wintertime, dude, taking a shower in the dark, you can't see a damn fucking thing. It is nice. Very peaceful, just hearing the water come down. You can't even see it. Now that's another problem. You can't see anything, but you just gotta wing it. I mean, you take showers so often, you know where things are at. It's just like second nature. The light was slowly flashing purple, orange, pink, blue, and red. I started playing a song called Hydrocodone by Black Cray on SoundCloud. Just then, I created a core memory. I felt more euphoric than I ever had, even more than the 3 taps. I could feel the music in every vein in my body, and the water in my skin felt angelic. I was slowly swaying and felt as though I had found the cure to the world. I felt everything I was searching for, and I never wanted to go without this feeling again. Alright, that's part 1. Let's upvote that shit. Getting good. Just the start, a good start. But yeah, I remember when I did a bunch of Mucinex. Maybe it wasn't, but I could swear it was Mucinex. And dude, taking it and then trying to like drink something. Like I remember tasting a Diet Pop after taking it. Oh my god, it was so nasty. I could barely drink it down, like it was bad. And then I remember the shower the next day, because I was high for a while, and I was still coming down, because DXM could last a while, not like the high, but the feeling just like of your body being different. And I couldn't even feel the shower. I had it on full blast at all heat, and I could not feel a damn thing. And I was just standing there like the Evil Dead movie, the remake from 2013. Probably not that hot, of course, because her skin was boiling, but yeah, it was definitely a weird feeling. All right, part 2. Let's get this in here. Slowly after this point is very much of a blur. I started making a regular trip to King Soopers, perfecting my run, and would get 4 boxes of the Mucinex and would get the extra large packs. I absolutely loved taking it in the mornings before school. I would be floating above my desk, fucking loving the music I was playing and acting manic as fuck. I would hit dab pens off this shit and smoke a lot while on DXM. I was geeked out 24/7. I remember I ran out of DXM one week, so I stole my old Ritalin prescription and started taking a shit ton of those. I would also take my parents' alcohol and mix those, and it was quite fun. I ended up going 3 full days without sleep, drunk and Ritalin those entire days. Drunk and Ritalin, that's a new word. I started hallucinating from sleep deprivation, and I thought it would be a fantastic idea to go to school with a huge hydro flask filled to the brim with straight tequila. I had drank half of it by lunch, and I got word that I was going to be searched soon. When I am in addiction, I absolutely cannot waste a single bit of a substance, and I was not about to pour this down the toilet, so I chugged the rest of it. All of it. I got searched, was extremely fucked up, and got a minor possession charge. I went to the mental hospital for the first time because of that too. Around this time, I started self-harming bad as well. This was about Thanksgiving time of 2021. This is when the descent started. I was using more than ever, and I discovered Delsym. It has a different type of DXM in it that lasts much longer, and to me, was a more clean high. I was completely out of control, and having friends that were just as addicted to drugs as me tell me they are concerned and that I should slow down. I guess I always told them, it makes me feel like a kid again, and that's all I've ever wanted. Yeah, when a drug addict tells you to calm down, you know you're in serious shit. But yeah, being a kid again, that's like what everyone strives for nowadays. There's so many reels on Instagram, whatever, about like going back to nostalgia times, hearing the morning doves, Whenever I hear a morning dove in the morning, like I'm just like, bruh, take me back. But yeah, it's sad that we can't go back because there's no worries, nothing. I had almost 8 boxes of the extra large packs of Mucinex in a Ziploc baggie, and it looked surreal seeing that much DXM in one bag. It was hundreds. A normal night for me would be at 8 p.m. I would drink 3/4 of a large Delsym bottle, 900 milligrams of DXM in each bottle, and then I would take 5 Mucinex at around 1 a.m. And then between then and the morning, I would finish the Delsym bottle and maybe smoke some weed. And then in the morning, I would take 4 Mucinex at around 10 a.m. Oh, it's a very healthy lifestyle. A lot of people thought I was on Xanax or heroin because of how I looked and acted. I had a close childhood friend over once, and he offered me 3 grams of the THC wax for my whole stash of DXM. I looked him in the eyes and said, "Nah man, it'll never compare. DXM makes me feel everything I've ever wanted." Soon would be the bender that nearly ended my existence in this reality. 3 grams of THC wax for a DXM, bro. Like, I would honestly trade that. Even if you're not gonna do it, fucking sell that shit, man. That's crazy. Hold on, I got a message. What does this say? Okay, never mind. My memory is extreme. I'm gonna put on do not disturb. My memory is extremely shot of this time period, but I'll try my best to recollect. I don't know quite when it started, but one day I decided I will go on a bender. I wanted to go further and further with DXM, and my judgment was too clouded to consider the consequences. I stocked up on a lot of Delsym and Mucinex and started my trip. I drank the whole bottle of Delsym in 30 seconds, looked up Apex Legends, and started blasting music like I usually do until I enter the Shadow Realm. I would always get so much euphoria from DXM. It's like what everyone would describe Molly to be. That's how it affected me, and I was so far deep in such a short amount of time. From that first bottle of Delsym, I would just keep redosing. Every time I would feel myself coming down, I would take more. I would feel the Delsym wear off at 9 a.m. I would take 5 Mucinex at 10 a.m., that type of thing. I did this for almost 2 weeks. I kept on getting higher and higher each time I did it, so I kept going. I kept on getting higher and higher each time I did it, so I kept going. I was borderline incoherent. I was having intense visuals and body sensations. So if you're hearing sentences go off, like just continuing or just may sound weird, it's because the periods are, I don't know when it's stopping, so yeah. Just want to point that out. I would sit down at my desk and was quite surprised to feel myself falling through the floor and spinning. When I would close my eyes, I literally was on one of those roller coasters that makes you spin forward and backwards. Like, not exaggerating at all. I had that exact same sensation while I was sitting still. Alright, that was part 2. Let's upvote that. We got 3 more parts to go. Alright. Wait, let me move this here. I also have an OCD test. I want to do that. I don't know if I should save it for the channel or just do it by myself because I'm actually interested to do it. Alright, part 3. This one seems longer than part 2. I would smoke weed and drink alcohol while doing all this DXM, as well as occasionally taking my antidepressants in between. I had horrifying experiences with my heart and skin color, and had random people come up to me asking if I was good. I kept going, redosing and redosing. It got to the point where my parents were threatening rehab through the same IOP company, or trying to stop me. One night I got so fucked up I blacked out and showed them my bag of Mucinex under my shoe sole in my room, and woke up to that, and then the week happened. I was in the ambulance 3 times in 1 week. The first occurrence, I got way too drunk at someone's house, and they came and dragged me into the car, and I was puking with every breath. I apparently ran from the car when we got to the hospital, but I didn't get very far in my state, obviously. They said I had minor alcohol poisoning, but not bad enough to pump my stomach, so then I came home that night and was on house arrest with my parents. I didn't listen though, and would just leave for many hours at a time and was not going to school at all. I met this random kid at the skate park and introduced him to DXM. I did that a lot when I was strung out on this shit. I would convince people how good it was, and that it gets you high as fuck, and just would babble about how amazing it was. I was spreading like cancer. I ended up meeting with kids I went to elementary school with, and hadn't seen them since then. It was trippy as fuck. The kid I was with was telling them how high you get off of this shit, and we gave them some. We left then because it was getting dark and I had no idea what I was going to do, but I sure as hell was not going home. We had taken some jackets and stuff from my house, and we were planning on staying at a McDonald's all night, but before that we decided to charge our phones in the lobby of an IHOP. I was extremely fucked up off the bottle of Delsym I had earlier, and we were spinning and we were sipping Stolen Tall Boys as well as okay, fuck you. And we were sipping Stolen Tall Boys as well, so I was geeked up. Apparently my mom was able to convince me to tell her my location, just so she knows I'm safe, she said. Within 5 minutes, 3 cop cars pull up on this IHOP. Immediately, I had a sinking in my chest and knew I was fucked up, and knew I fucked up. As they were walking to the door, I frantically ripped the plastic off the Delsym bottle in my back pocket and started chugging it as fast as I could right in their face. I got half of it down before I threw it on the ground and surrendered. They put me in cuffs and in the back of the car and told me that I was going to juvie, but they gave me a closer examination and said I needed medical attention immediately. Damn, that's crazy. Sipping half a bottle, so that's 450 milligrams. Like, oh my god, and you're already on so much, bro. That is so much DXM. I'm so glad I never got addicted to this shit, bro. Like, that just sounds horrible. I know Delsym is very popular. I'm gonna debate on what I'm gonna name this video, but it might have to do with Delsym and Mucinex. I was gonna name it the longest trip report I've ever read, but like I said, I don't know how long it's gonna be. How are we at right now? We're at 20 minutes. All right, it might not be the longest. No, it probably will be, honestly. So yeah. All right. An ambulance came, and the other kid's parents came, and I have no idea where he is now or anything. I haven't seen or spoken to him once. They gave me an IV and asked me all those questions and stuff. I was aggressive to say the least. I ended up going to the hospital, not juvie luckily. I was home the next day, and my room had been thoroughly searched and ran through. I had 0 DXM and no weed. I was bare for the first time in 2 weeks. I was told I'm getting sent to the 45-day rehab in 2 days. I couldn't even process it really. I was just being controlled by the drug, and I needed more by any means. My parents weren't letting me out of the house for anything, but my mother agreed to take me to Target for grocery shopping. I don't know how I pulled this stunt to this day. We were done shopping, and last minute I told her I wanted to grab some sushi. She said alright, and went with me to grab it. I then told her I'll pay for it while she gets her last few items. I got the sushi and put it in the bag somehow. Somehow had about 2 minutes where my mom couldn't see me. I booked it to the cough medicine aisle and grabbed a bottle of Delsym and a pack of Mucinex, 1200s, and shoved it under the sushi so the sushi was covering in the bag. I walked to the car with her and put the bag in between my legs and got away with it. I really don't know how. Dude, your mom, seriously, that's something I would do. Just trying to sneak it. Like, I did that shit with the Morning Glories, I think. Not that she would have known what that did, but yeah. Sometimes they're so oblivious. But, you know, I also think that they just don't want to believe it, too. That could be they're in denial, but yeah. So this is my last night before rehab, and I wanted to trip. I wanted to feel again, and I wanted pure euphoria. I waited into the night as long as possible to take it. I didn't have a phone, I lost it in the ambulance, and I didn't have Wi-Fi on my PS4, so I was watching Ergo Proxy and repeat on disc, and was waiting until I can go downstairs to watch my movies. At this time in my life, I was completely obsessed with the show Euphoria. Pretty sure I got it confused with reality for a little. I was obsessed with the movie Beautiful Boy and Requiem for a Dream. I would just watch those on repeat, and I was so fucked up. It felt like I was watching it for the first time every time I watched them. So I waited until midnight and downed the whole Delsym bottle, 900 milligrams of DXM polystyrix. I honestly had a great trip that night. Alright, let me look up. I don't think I've ever read a polystyrix trip report on my channel. Maybe I did, but I want to make sure I get that right. The pronunciation. Oh boy. Yeah, how to pronounce it. Got 3 stars, that one got 4 stars. Okay, wait, this seems like a legit website. Alright, let's see. Wait. Oh, it doesn't say, okay. Let's see what this one says. Hold on.
Dextromethorphan polystyrix.
Is it polystyrix? I could have swore it was polystyrix. Polystyrix. Okay, so polystyrix. 900 milligrams of DXM polystyrix. I honestly had a great trip that night. Alright. I was seeing intense tracers of purple, yellow, and green and had the sensation of floating towards the ceiling, and I was in my own world of binge-watching addiction movies and shit. I felt extremely odd though. It's like a little sober me was screaming to stop inside my head and my body was on autopilot. I put the box of Mucinex in my backpack for school and was planning to go to my last day of school to say bye to everyone. At around 5 in the morning, I nearly had a stroke because my little sister scared me so bad. She walked into my TV room and I nearly thought I hallucinated her. But she simply said she couldn't sleep and that she wanted to watch cartoons, and so we did. We watched The Amazing World of Gumball, one of my favorites, and I made us some cereal. I sat there and I just felt so happy. That's a good ending to part 3. That's kind of a good family moment. Congratulations. But man, 900 milligrams again. Oh my god. You think these companies know what they're doing? Like, of course Robotabs knows what they're doing, but like Delsym and Mucinex and shit, like putting that much dextromethorphan in it. Alright, now we're going to part 4. I'm actually going to take a sip of water. My mouth is kind of dry. Like I said, I got my energy drink too, so mixing both of them, not together, but like drinking one, then drinking the other. All right, where are we at now? We got 25 minutes. Okay, so 2 more parts to go. I had no idea what was to happen that day. I had no idea what had happened. I was just sat there in the moment with her. I started getting the most intense deja vu from watching cartoons with cereal that early in the morning, and truly couldn't tell if I was a kid like her or not. I felt like a kid, and I realized I love my sister so much. I realized for a second what I must be doing to her by doing all this to myself, and my heart sunk into my chest. She eventually left when it was almost time for school, and that's when the only happiness I felt that day left me. Part of me thinks she knew something was going to happen that day, because not once in my life has she ever came in to watch TV with me that early especially. It could have been because my mom told her I was leaving, though I don't know. I got ready for school like I usually did, floating in the shower and completely oblivious. I walked downstairs to talk to my mom, and she was sitting up in her bed, borderline sobbing. Oh, that's sad. I was immediately thrown off, like when you see something that's horrifying to you when you are tripping. I ask her what's wrong, and she looks at me and says the most horrific sentence I've ever heard that still haunts me to this day. I had a dream, and I kept on hearing your little kid voice say, "Goodbye, Mommy." I immediately feel a sense of dread as I am processing what I just heard. She continues sobbing, and I kept on telling me she doesn't know why, but she thinks I'm going to die today. Okay, that is seriously something you do not want to hear, especially like you're on DXM, your emotions are riling up. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But you know, it's hard to say because she's dreaming like that. She's definitely worried about you, bro. So like, that's definitely a sign to do something about it. So hopefully this goes well after this. But yeah, that's sad to dream that about your kid, because at the end of the day, they're your kid, right? At the Breaking Bad, I'm not going to spoil it actually if you haven't seen it, but it's something with Jane, with the dad and everything. That's what this kind of reminds me of. That's what I'm thinking of when I'm hearing this story. But yeah, they just want the best for you. They, of course, they're going to yell at you for doing drugs. Like, they don't want you doing them, I almost could swear the DXM trip got stronger and stronger at this very moment. I had done so much DXM that I'm used to seeing quite intense visuals, but nothing compares to what I saw in this room. I stare at the walls, and thousands of masks that are smiling and frowning erupt from the walls. I hear screaming and laughing at the same time. They looked exactly like the cover of Motley Crue's Theater of Pain album. I immediately started intensely sobbing, not a couple tears, and then it turns into a sob, immediately sobbing. I had never felt such dread and impending doom in my life. As soon as that sentence was said, I truly believed that with my whole soul I was going to die that day. I visioned everything in my life that's ever happened, crumbling to nothingness, an eternal black void. I was uncontrollably sobbing, and I walked out of the room. I don't know what made me want to, but I needed to go to school. I think I thought that seeing my friends one last time will make me feel better. I convinced my dad to take me, and anybody that has done high doses of DXM can relate to this. I had the experience when driving in the car where it feels like you're floating on top of the car and slowly lagging behind where the car is going. I made it to school and stumbled out of the car and walked up to the doors. I had some sort of thought loop, and my head kept repeating, "Goodbye, Mommy, goodbye, Mommy, goodbye, Mommy," and every time I sobbed harder and harder. I was stumbling through the halls, eyes completely black, empty voids with tears streaming down my face. It definitely was a scary and concerning sight to see. I remember trying to walk straight, but I kept on banging into the lockers on the side of the hall. The hallway was about 14 feet wide, but it felt 3 feet wide max, and I kept on stumbling and hitting the lockers. I saw some of my friends. They asked what was wrong. They got me to sit on a bench, and I remember I just kept on repeating, "I'm going to die, I'm going to die. She said it, over and over." My friends were obviously concerned about me, and a crowd started forming, so obviously teachers and counselors came up to me. They took about 20 minutes to convince me to go to the office with them. Oh boy. I'm going to skip ahead because I've already went into too much detail, but they got my parents to pick me up, and they were taking me directly to the mental hospital for an unknown amount of time. Before I go to rehab, I sobered up around noon. I made it to the facility around 2 p.m. I felt terrifically disassociated and the most intense dread and panic anxiety I've ever felt in my entire life. It dawned on me I will not touch a single drug for who knows how long. I felt like I was the drug. I couldn't picture myself without it. I was waiting in the lobby of the mental hospital, mere minutes away from getting taken to the back room for admission. I suddenly remembered the pack of Mucinex in my backpack. Immediately, I go into my fiendish side of my brain, and I nearly felt possessed. I asked my mom, "Can I go get my books from my bag in the car?" She said yes, because the car was in plain sight of the window and nearly 10 feet away. I slip out of the door, go to the car, and quickly reach to my bag and grab the box of Mucinex. I took out 2 of the gray film packaging strips and pretended like I was tying my shoes and folded and shoved them into my high socks. I walk back in and sit calmly next to my mom with my bag in hand, with her sitting directly next to me looking at her phone. I bend over in the chair, reach in my right hand in my backpack to pretend to rummage through it, and with my left hand I take the packages from my sock. I quickly slide my left hand into my backpack and proceed to slide them up in my hoodie sleeve, and then put the edge of my sleeve on the end of the package and clasp it still with my fingers. I did this carefully to not crinkle the foil and make a loud noise. I seriously do not know myself how I got away with this. I tell her I'm going to the bathroom and go and quickly lock the door. I felt genuinely possessed and was not in my right state of mind whatsoever, because then I would have known the gravity of the decision I was about to make. I did my routine. I popped those large 1200 Mucinex pills one by one into my hand, 60 milligrams of DXM HBr in each one. I popped each single one for both packages into my hand and some fell on the floor. I roughly counted each one, 19 pills. Most I have ever taken was 11, and it did not go well. I popped one in my mouth and bent over the sink to wash it down. I did this 19 times, roughly around 1140 milligrams of DXM HBr and around 22,800 milligrams of guaifenesin. Oh my god, that's an insane amount, dude. I had an insane trip on 3, bruh. Like 3 is crazy. And I know your tolerance is up, but man, that's still crazy though. Imagine just doing that out of the blue. Like, that's just not safe for your liver. I walked back to the chair and was admitted to the room that you go to before admission. They have the TV screen inside a glass wall, and I was watching Naruto on it. I knew what was coming, but I didn't really. 1 minute, I was fine, sober and depressed. The next minute, I was looking towards the ceiling. I was in a chair and I felt my head go backwards. For the first time in my life, was fully awake and unable to move anything in my body. I could see my purple hands on the chair in my peripheral vision, but absolutely could not move anything. Speaking of not moving, dude, I was asleep last night. I woke up and my arm fell asleep. I must have slept on it, and dude, I tried lifting it up. I couldn't. Like, it's just crazy how that can happen. And it's just like, you think about like people who can't move any limbs. You know, it's so sad. But I lifted up with my other hand, and I picked it up, and I wasn't thinking about how I couldn't move it, and I just let go, and I dropped it on my face, dude. I felt like I punched myself. That shit hurt. Like that was kind of funny though at the same time, but yeah, that was something. All right, this is the last part of this, and it's actually not too long on the last part. I think this is the shortest page. So, but yeah, this is definitely the longest trip report I've ever read. So yeah. All right, the final part, or part 5. I was mentally kicking my legs as hard as I could, and nothing would happen. I tried to move my neck, my head, but nothing. I saw my mom's terrified face. I saw her tears streaming down just as mine had been earlier. She was shaking me and hysterical. I saw her open the door and scream for the workers to call 911. I saw her broken down and downright terrified. It was here when I experienced something I cannot explain with words. I saw the flash before your eyes that people describe when you die. I saw my childhood, was looking at memories from being a kid, through a huge screen in my mind. I saw everything important that's ever happened. I saw my friends, saw memories that were my fondest, and then I experienced what I believe to be the void of death. I suddenly was suspended in the air. I would describe my surroundings as black, but but it was something darker than that. It felt like my body was laying flat on a table, but completely suspending in nothingness. I started feeling my heart rate slip further and further away, and above my head I was seeing an image of what looked like a waterfall running off a flat table. It was completely black, but I could see everything happening clear as day. As I got further and further towards the waterfall void, I felt my body get further and further away from my consciousness. I knew in that moment that I was experiencing death. I will add, this is all my opinion of what I experienced. It very well could have been a strange mental hallucination from so much DXM. Hard to say. I mean, could be a mix of both. That's definitely not a safe amount to do, especially with the guaifenesin. I mean, that's crazy. And then it all stopped. I blinked and I was back in that room and still could not move. 2 firemen were in the room and I was given an immediate IV and raised on the portable stretcher. The tracers from the DXM were the most intense I've ever had, and more intense than any psychedelic visual I've ever had. The lights were melting onto my vision. I could feel the wind of the walls swooshing past me. Even when I was still, I was so out of it that I was giggling and laughing in the back of the ambulance, thinking this ride was so much fun. I couldn't even grasp what happened or what I had done. I slowly regained movement on my body, and I was given another IV in my other arm. I kept on telling the EMTs, please give me heroin. I've always wanted to do it. Please give me heroin. Oh boy. I then was in the hospital bed. This is the end of this trip report. I spent 2 weeks in the mental hospital, went to the 45-day rehab program, then landed myself in 10 months of residential treatment. If anyone would like, I could write another trip report about everything that happened after this point. I experienced a lot in the treatment hole, and then came back from it and returned directly back to where I was, and was worse than before. I am nearly 4 months sober from anything besides weed, and that is because of an experience I had with laced LSD and an either extremely fake THC cartridge or a lace cartridge. If you are a teenager new to the wicked world of drugs, do not ever do over-the-counter cough medicine. If you don't die from it, you will definitely wish you did. Thank you for reading. Thank you so fucking much if you made it to this point. I tried to shorten my story as much as possible. I am sorry it was so long. Definitely a long story, but it was worth it reading on this channel because I could just keep going, not having to like edit it as long. But the story I'm uploading tomorrow is very long, so yeah, it's definitely something, man. That was a good story. I'm glad you shared it. But yeah, DXM can totally fuck you up, dude. I also would like that story, the part 2 to all the parts, the what happened in the mental hospital and the 45 days or whatever. That would be interesting to hear about, because hearing the next part to stories and different videos is actually fun to do. It's fun for people to hear, but yeah, that was a crazy ass story. Just doing that much DXM is just insanity. Like you cannot. That's just crazy. Especially starting off with a lot. Like if you would have started off with a little bit, I feel like it wouldn't have gone that far down that rabbit hole. But it's just starting doing the Delsym and Mucinex. Like yeah, that's just a crazy amount to do, especially with the guaifenesin like that. Like I've said this before about this chemical. Like you do not want to take it with that in it because that will fuck up your liver. I'd like to know what the inside of his body looked like. And I'd like to know actually what the outside of his body looked like too, because you probably look like a freaking like a person who was the Requiem for a Dream lady who took all those diet pills and started hallucinating. That shit is terrifying. I don't know the next time I watch that movie, but that's how I imagine you would look like that. Definitely not a lady, of course, but that movie is so crazy with that scene. It's like when I was watching when I was a kid, I didn't know what stimulant psychosis was. I didn't know that could happen to you, of course. But now it's like I should probably rewatch it. The one scene I remember, there's a couple scenes from that movie I remember. The one, though, that really got me was injecting the heroin inside the already fucked up arm. Oh my god, that shit made me cringe so hard. Not like, oh, that's cringe, like, oh, that's annoying, that's embarrassing, but like cringe, like, ooh, that looks so painful, so why would you do that? But yeah, Darren Aronofsky, he's a great director. And then the other scene was when they had the girl had the dildo or whatever. They were both fucking it. That was a good scene. I like that scene. But yeah, I'd say the scariest part was definitely What's her fucking face? What's her name? It's like something Byrne, something. She was in The Exorcist. Helen Bernstein, right? I think that's her name. Yeah, she was in Cuckoo's Nest too. That's a good movie if you haven't seen that. Um, and she only took a role to The Exorcist Believer because she got paid so much. I mean, that movie was terrible. I didn't even see it, but I could tell you right now it was terrible. Ellen Bernstein, not Helen. Okay, Ellen Bernstein. Yeah, she's a good actress. But yeah, I can go on and on about movies, but we're gonna finish here. Where we got 40 minutes of this, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. A very long trip report, and yeah, we'll see you next time.